Today, let's build out the best overall budget Samsung tech ecosystem because they probably have the best pound for pound collection of tech that you can buy today. First off, I would like to mention that nobody is sponsoring this video. Nobody provided me any of these items, and no one is on the other side of the camera just like glaring at me. I guess I'm glaring at me in the camera monitor. We are harshest with ourselves. Second note up front, one, you need to have a reason to buy an ecosystem. I mean, you could, if you are somebody that just has a lot of disposable money, you could just go out and buy a bunch of cool toys if you want. But having a set of requirements ahead of time can absolutely save you money and headaches in the long run, because those requirements should dictate what parts of this set or any set you need. Or whatever, I guess you could just go out and buy a bunch of whole cool fun stuff. You live in the moment. YOLO, as the millennials would say. Which means the very first part of this ecosystem is going to be the Samsung S24 Regular, the best crystallization of features and price that I think I've ever seen in a smartphone. It was this choice specifically that I spent the most time contemplating for this video. I really thought about putting in the S24 Ultra here, even in a budget video, because it's so large and it's so in charge and it's almost an entire ecosystem unto itself. But I ultimately chose the Regular here over the Ultra because it does most of what this thing can do for almost half the price, weighs less, and because you are spending less on the phone, it opens up other ancillary tech and accessories that we can talk about later to make the overall ecosystem better. I do think the 24 Ultra is a better phone, but we're talking about the system to be more useful, not just the one thing. Now, I wouldn't call the S24 Regular a budget phone. It's still quite costly, coming in at $799 for the base model. But I do think when we look at all the things this phone can do and bring to this system we're building, you'll see that this was the right choice. And that's the trade-off you have to make when building ecosystems. You shouldn't have single-use devices like waffle irons. You need things that can pull multiple rolls at a time like a griddle, because pancakes are just better. Yeah, I'm throwing that in the ecosystem video. Fight me. You've got main cameras that work better in artificial lighting than anything else I've ever seen outside of an interchangeable lens camera. You've got a screen big enough to do more than just mobile things in a pinch. You've got software that molds itself into whatever you need in the moment, going from just a phone to almost a full-on home computer. And besides the things it can do, it has battery life that can take it through full days of use, even when the battery is set to max protection mode. This phone does it all, and it does it all better than anything else I've ever seen at this price. You can customize this to do even more by itself. See my S24 Ultra accessory video if you want to see how wild that can get. It's not always perfect though. There are times when you might need to spread your wings a little more. And while I've been dropping iPads from Apple ecosystem videos, I am going to include the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 here. You can get the regular Galaxy Tab S9 base model for around $700 brand new, but I even found it for as low as $540 from Amazon Warehouse. So you could get the S24 and the Tab S9 for about the price of the S24 Ultra by itself. This is a ton of capability for the same price. I also considered the S9 FE for this ecosystem, as it's way cheaper than the S9, but you do get pretty limited on the processor of the FE, and while we aren't building a gaming rig, we do need kind of a baseline of power for some of the more professional apps needed, and I think the S9 standard more than meets that power to price ratio the best. You can go up in storage size or screen size for more money, but I'm specifically talking about the Regular in this ecosystem. But I don't think you always need all the extra functionality once you look at some of those accessories that you can get that I talked about earlier. It's useful enough when transiting on planes and coffee shops, in class, various places where you may need to take up less space, but you do need more screen real estate than on your phone. With a small keyboard case add-on, this can be placed in DeX mode and just be a laptop at all times. With a mouse or your phone and trackpad multi-control mode, this turns into a super useful productivity platform. And that's the thing, productivity platform. It's not a single-use computer, it's not a single-use like YouTube watcher. It's all these things in one. What I really like about this specific combo is how easy the file transfers are. You get QuickShare, which is Samsung's version of AirDrop, and I find it to be just as good, if not better. And you don't even really need to exactly drop things back and forth much anymore here or in Apple Tech, honestly. Most apps and productivity software, they'll just live in the cloud. You just work normally and then you have access on both. It's just that little bit extra screen real estate that allows for easier multi-window use. And from what I've found, just ease of use and reducing friction is the most important part of an ecosystem. If you don't mind friction and you don't mind devices that are their own little walled gardens, right? Just buy totally separate pieces that don't interact and defeat the whole purpose. I normally pause right about here in an ecosystem video and I move on to what I call optional items. But now that traveling is back on the normal business menu as the world returns to pre-pandemic operations, I'm gonna keep the Buds Pro 2 in the main part of the ecosystem video. These come in at $229 list price, but I found them for half off very easily in my search. Plus, we'll talk a whole bunch more about knocking off the price, this whole ecosystem way down in a bit. Admittedly, they are not as good as the AirPods Pro 2, but they are so much easier to use. AirPods are great until they aren't, and then they become the single most frustrating piece of technology I think I've ever purchased. The Buds have actually pretty good sound quality. They have decent enough noise cancellation for traveling on things like airplanes, and I don't hesitate to throw these in my bag and use these as my primary headphones. In today's modern virtual conference hybrid meeting environment, yes, even after returning to the office, I find myself having Teams meetings with people literally right next to me. Welcome to the future. Noise canceling headphones are almost a requirement in the modern productivity bag, and what I like most about these is Samsung's Wearables app. Yes, and I've seen plenty of comments telling me how dumb I am for that and how much you hate the app, but that's fine. At least it's there in an app so that if something goes wonky with one of these headphones, you can fix it in an app, not just trying to pray and hope they connect and figure it out themselves on their own. These work seamlessly with the S24, they work seamlessly with the Tab. I do wish they had a physical button to make pairing and unpairing a little bit easier, but overall, these are a very valuable addition to the kit. Now, if we wanted to move on to the one optional part of this whole enterprise today, the Samsung Galaxy Watch 6. You can find these for about $250, putting it in the very reasonably priced section of the smartwatch world. It's certainly not gonna hurt your wallet as much as the Apple Watch Ultra. For the price, you get a lot of the functionality. It doesn't hurt me to include this as an optional piece and not one of the main items, but smartwatches on the whole are still optional in my opinion. They are absolutely amazing at combining lots of functions into one, but all of them, every single one of them, have battery life concerns that make it hard to go full in on the student or work front. Here though, you get a very comfortable watch that will do all the fitness tracking, notifications, alarm, camera controls, all of the fancy things that your phone could do, but on your wrist. And it's kind of okay to check it during meetings. Also in the optional part of this ecosystem is a regular old Windows computer. You could go with one of the new Samsung Galaxy Books, but you don't have to. In fact, as a budget ecosystem, I would say you probably already have a Windows laptop and just use that. And part of why I say this is in the ecosystem is because Samsung devices, at least all their mobile stuff, has Link to Windows built in. You just download the app on your computer and then now you have all of the same functionality across all of these devices. It's very much like macOS and iOS integration, but it doesn't have to be a Samsung laptop. This is in the very optional to buy part because you probably already have a Windows computer, so just don't buy an extra one. If you can save money and get more functionality, do that. So the combined price of all of this ecosystem works out to S24 for $799, Tab S9 for $699, Buds Pro 2 $79-ish, yes really, Galaxy Watch 6 $200-ish, for a grand total of around $1,700, which is not cheap. Thankfully though, you can save a big chunk of money if we move this around a little bit. If we do swap this out for the Tab FE, that knocks around $350 off, bringing us down to $1,400. But you can actually save even more by using Samsung's trade-in options when checking out. When I originally purchased my Z Flip 5, the watch and the headphones, I think I ended up paying $199 totally out of pocket because of the trade-ins I was able to make. They are pretty darn good. Samsung accepts quite a lot of stuff, so you could probably save a lot of money. Seriously, we talk all the time about the Apple ecosystem, but in all honesty, that system has kind of stood still for the past few years, and Samsung has really caught up to and surpassed them in a few real key areas, in my opinion. But what about you? Do you use an Android/Samsung ecosystem? What does your kit look like? Let us all know in the comments below. And if you like this video, click here to see how the S24 is holding up after 2 weeks of use. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.